Hey, warriors. The second they sense fear, they think they've already won. The moment they catch hesitation in your eyes, they step closer. Their voice gets louder. Their posture gets bigger. They lean in, stare longer, invade your space, and try to make your mind fold before your words ever form. Intimidation is rarely about truth. It's about pressure. It's theater. It's a performance designed to make you react before you think. Picture this scene. Someone is pushing hard. Their tone is sharp. Their presence feels heavy. Most people rush to defend themselves. They talk too fast. They explain too much. They try to prove their worth in the heat of the moment. And that's exactly where they lose control. Because intimidation feeds on reaction. It survives on emotional movement. The more you flinch, the stronger it grows. The more you rush, the more power you hand over. But what if you could stand still instead? What if, in the exact moment they expect you to shrink, you become steady? No raised voice, no nervous smile, no defensive rambling, just calm eyes and grounded silence. Suddenly the script breaks. Their rhythm collapses. Their pressure has nowhere to land. And the balance of power quietly flips without you ever throwing a punch or raising your volume. Intimidation isn't strength. Real strength doesn't need to crowd your space or crush your voice. Intimidation is usually a strategy used when someone wants control fast. It's a shortcut move. A psychological shove meant to rush your decision-making and weaken your posture. Most people fall into this trap without even realizing they're inside it. They think they're defending themselves, but they're actually stepping into the other person's frame. Today, you're going to learn how to step out of that frame completely. I'm going to walk you through 7 Machiavellian psychological tactics that shift the ground under anyone who tries to overpower you. These are not about yelling louder or acting tougher. They're about control, timing, and mental positioning, silent dominance, composed pressure, strategic calm. When you use these correctly, the person trying to intimidate you starts to feel uncertain instead. This is not about becoming cold or cruel. It's about becoming unshakable. There is a difference. You don't need to attack. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to stop playing their game and make them stand in yours. By the end of this, anyone who tries to push you around will feel like they've run into a wall they cannot move. Before we begin, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Calm beats pressure. Number 1, freeze the stage. Every intimidation attempt is a performance. There is always a hidden stage, an invisible spotlight, and an expected reaction from you. The aggressor is not just speaking to communicate. They are acting to provoke movement. They want a visible shift, a defensive reply, a nervous laugh, a quick denial, a rushed counterattack. That response is their reward. It tells them the pressure is working. The moment you understand that intimidation is theater, you stop being the audience and start becoming the empty room. When pressure comes at you, your first instinct is usually speed. Faster speech, faster thinking, faster emotion. Your body wants to close the tension gap as quickly as possible. That instinct is natural, and it is exactly what gives the other side leverage. Freezing the stage means you deliberately break that tempo. You do not rush to answer. You do not hurry to defend your position. You let the moment hang in the air longer than feels comfortable. Silence becomes your first move, not your last. Hold your posture steady. Keep your shoulders level. Let your breathing slow down instead of speed up. Keep your eyes focused but not hostile. You are not challenging. You are unmoved. This stillness sends a signal that is stronger than any clever sentence. It says, Your pressure did not land. Most people have never been trained to handle calm resistance. They are prepared for argument, not composure. When their emotional push meets a motionless wall, their certainty starts to wobble. There is a powerful psychological effect that happens here. When someone tries to dominate through forceful presence and receives no immediate feedback, self-awareness turns inward. They begin monitoring themselves. Their mind shifts from attacking to checking. Am I going too far? Do I look foolish? Why aren't they reacting? That internal questioning drains their momentum. Energy that was aimed at you now loops back into them. Your face matters here more than your words. Avoid dramatic expressions. No smirking, no eye-rolling, no exaggerated seriousness. Neutral is stronger than theatrical confidence. Think of a judge listening in a courtroom, attentive, unreadable, grounded. Let them speak into that neutrality. The longer they continue without emotional payoff, the more exposed they feel. Performers without applause become uncomfortable very quickly. Another key element is micro-movement control. Do not fidget with your hands. Do not adjust your clothes repeatedly. Do not shift your feet back and forth. Small, restless gestures signal internal disturbance. Stillness communicates inner authority. Even if you feel tension inside, reduce visible motion outside. Power is often judged by surface control, not inner sensation. Many people worry that pausing will make them look weak or unprepared. The opposite is true. Leaders pause. Negotiators pause. High-status communicators pause. Quick replies are common. Measured responses are rare, and rarity creates perceived strength. When you finally speak after a deliberate gap, your words land heavier because the space before them built weight. Remember this line and make it part of your mental reflex. If you don't react, their performance dies. You are not ignoring reality. You are removing their stage lighting. Without reaction, intimidation has nothing to feed on. The encounter shifts from emotional combat to psychological imbalance. In your favor. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Stillness is power. Number 2, make them reveal. Pressure works best when it stays vague, forceful, and one-directional. The intimidator throws statements like punches, sharp, loud, and forward, hoping you stay busy blocking instead of examining. Your counter is not louder resistance. Your counter is precision inquiry. You turn the spotlight around and make them unpack their own words. When someone is forced to clarify, justify, and specify, their emotional advantage begins to leak away. Most dominance attempts rely on broad claims and loaded phrases. You always mess this up. Everyone knows you can't handle this. This is a terrible decision. These lines feel heavy because they sound final, but they are often built on air. The moment you calmly ask for definition, the weight drops. Ask in a steady voice, what exactly do you mean by that? Which part specifically? Based on what evidence? Walk me through your reasoning. Each question is like turning on another light in a dark room. Shadows stop looking frightening when fully lit. The key is tone. Your delivery must be even, grounded, almost curious. Not sarcastic, not challenging. Clean curiosity disarms faster than confrontation. When your question sounds genuinely investigative rather than defensive, the other person cannot easily accuse you of being combative. You are not fighting, you are examining. That shift forces them out of attack mode and into explanation mode. Explanation is slower, cognitively heavier, and emotionally weaker than accusation. There is a psychological law at work here. The person doing the explaining is spending status energy. When they must keep supplying reasons, details, and logic, they are working harder than you. Cognitive load rises. Verbal stumbles increase. Emotional momentum fades. Meanwhile, you remain composed, asking short, surgical questions. You are steering without pushing. Use narrowing questions rather than open, wandering ones. Start broad, then tighten. What exactly is the problem you see? Which outcome concerns you most? Where did you get that information? What would you prefer instead? Each layer reduces exaggeration and exposes assumptions. Many intimidation tactics depend on emotional exaggeration. Specificity dissolves exaggeration. Another advantage appears. Contradictions surface. When someone speaks aggressively, they rarely maintain internal consistency. As they elaborate, gaps appear between their earlier claim and their later reasoning. Do not jump on those gaps immediately. Let them keep talking. Silence after their answer often pulls out even more detail. People rush to fill quiet space and often reveal more than they intended. Your body language should remain receptive but firm. Slight head tilt, steady eye contact, minimal nodding. Avoid rapid agreement signals. You are listening, not surrendering. Keep your breathing slow enough that your voice never climbs in pitch. Vocal steadiness communicates that you are not under threat. This approach also protects you from emotional hijacking. Questions anchor your mind in analysis rather than reaction. Instead of thinking, "How do I defend myself?" you think, "What is actually being claimed here?" That mental pivot alone reduces stress chemistry and improves judgment. Remember the principle: when pressure is forced to explain itself, it shrinks. You are not dodging, you are dissecting. And once intimidation is dissected, it rarely survives intact. Number 3, speak slowly, move slowly. Urgency is the fuel of intimidation. The person applying pressure wants speed, fast answers, fast concessions, fast emotional reactions. They try to compress the moment so tightly that you don't have room to think. Your countermeasure is deliberate tempo. You stretch the moment instead of letting it be squeezed. You slow your speech pattern, your gestures, even your head turns. Controlled pacing signals internal command in a way volume never can. When human beings feel threatened, their nervous system accelerates. Words come out clipped. Sentences stack on top of each other. Pitch rises. Breathing becomes shallow. All of this broadcasts stress. Even if your arguments are strong, rushed delivery makes them sound fragile. A measured cadence, on the other hand, makes simple language sound authoritative. Pace shapes perception more than vocabulary. Start with your breathing rhythm. Inhale through your nose, let the air settle low, then speak on the exhale. This naturally reduces vocal speed and lowers tone. Lower tone is associated with steadiness and credibility across cultures. You are not trying to sound dramatic. You are aiming for grounded. Imagine each sentence weighs something. You place it down, you don't throw it. Insert small pauses between thoughts, not awkward gaps, intentional spacing. A brief beat before answering a charged remark creates gravity. It shows you are choosing your words rather than being pushed by emotion. Listeners interpret chosen speech as stronger than reactive speech. The pause also forces the other person to wait inside their own tension, which weakens their emotional surge. Your physical motion should match your vocal tempo. Quick hand movements, finger pointing, and abrupt shifts in stance suggest agitation. Instead, keep gestures economical. One hand movement instead of 5. One posture adjustment instead of constant repositioning. Think economy of motion. High-status presence is usually quiet in movement, not busy. There is also a contrast effect that works in your favor. Aggressive behavior often looks chaotic when placed beside calm pacing. When one person is loud and fast while the other is steady and unhurried, observers, and even the aggressor's subconscious, assign stability to the slower presence. Stability reads as strength. Speed reads as strain. Be careful not to drift into sluggishness. The goal is controlled tempo, not lethargy. Your words should remain clear, your articulation sharp. Slow does not mean dull, it means deliberate. Each phrase should feel placed, not spilled. If you notice your rate climbing, consciously shorten your sentences. Shorter lines are easier to deliver with control. Another benefit appears internally. When you regulate pace, you regulate emotion. Body tempo and emotional intensity are linked. By slowing outward behavior, you send feedback to your nervous system that the situation is manageable. That feedback loop helps keep your judgment intact. Use this mental cue. Pressure speeds up. Authority slows down. Let that guide your timing. You are not matching their storm. You are changing the weather around it. When your tempo stays anchored, their attempt to rush you loses its grip. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My pace wins. Number 4. Control the space. Human interaction is never only verbal. Territory, distance, and positioning constantly send signals beneath the surface of conversation. An intimidator often tries to win physically before they win verbally. They step too close. They loom. They angle their body to crowd your line of sight. They try to make you retreat by inches. Those inches matter. Each small backward shift quietly transfers authority. Your objective is not confrontation. It is spatial ownership. Start by becoming aware of your footprint. Plant your feet at a natural shoulder-width distance. Balanced, not rigid. Weight evenly distributed. This stance alone changes how pressure feels in your body. When your base is stable, your voice and eye contact stabilize more easily. Narrow footing leads to sway and micro-retreat. Grounded footing communicates readiness without aggression. If someone advances into your personal zone, resist the reflex to step back instantly. Most people yield space automatically to avoid discomfort. That automatic yield is exactly what a dominance move is trying to trigger. Instead, hold position for a beat. Let them be the one who feels they crossed a boundary. Often they will self-correct when they realize you are not shrinking. Your torso orientation also matters. Keep your chest open and square rather than turned away. Angling away signals withdrawal. Squared alignment signals presence. This does not mean staring them down like a challenger. It means remaining fully there instead of partially exiting with your body. Use micro-adjustments instead of retreats. A slight forward lean from the hips, very small, can neutralize someone else's forward pressure without looking aggressive. It says you are engaged, not cornered. Engagement reads as confidence. Withdrawal reads as vulnerability. The difference can be only a few centimeters. Objects in the environment can be used intelligently. A table edge, a chair back. These create natural boundaries. Positioning yourself with a subtle barrier between you and the other person can reduce their ability to crowd you while keeping the interaction civil. This is not hiding. It is structuring the interaction field. Head height is another silent indicator. Keep your chin level. When people feel pressured, they often tuck their chin down or lift it defensively. Both broadcast tension. Level head position projects neutrality and self-command. Pair this with relaxed shoulders, not raised, not slumped, and you project grounded authority without theatrics. Eye line should be steady, but not locked in a hostile stare. Think anchor, not laser. You are present and attentive, not predatory. Short, natural breaks in eye contact are fine, but avoid darting glances. Rapid eye movement suggests search for escape. Smooth eye behavior suggests internal certainty. There is a psychological boundary effect at play. When you maintain your spatial ground, the other person subconsciously registers that escalation will require effort. Effort reduces impulsive dominance behavior. You are increasing the cost of intimidation without saying a word. Those who hold their ground hold the frame. Space is not just physical. It is psychological territory expressed through posture and placement. When you keep your ground calmly, tension reorganizes around you instead of over you. Number 5. Strategic indifference. Many pressure tactics depend on emotional hooks. The intimidator throws out remarks designed to trigger pride, anger, embarrassment, or the need to prove yourself. They are fishing for a reaction that gives them leverage. Strategic indifference cuts the line. You do not bite, not because you are numb, but because you are selective about what earns your emotional energy. This is not passive behavior. It is controlled non-investment. You are fully aware of what is being said, yet you choose not to grant it emotional weight. Most people confuse strength with visible pushback. True psychological strength is often quiet non-attachment. When a provoking comment lands and finds no emotional handle, it drops. The first step is internal labeling. Instead of absorbing the remark personally, categorize it mentally. That is a pressure move. That is bait. That is posturing. Labeling creates distance between stimulus and feeling. Distance gives you choice. Choice gives you control. Without that gap, emotion drives behavior automatically. Your facial response should remain lightly neutral, not frozen, not expressive. A relaxed mouth, steady gaze, and composed brow communicate that nothing destabilizing just occurred. Avoid forced smiles or exaggerated seriousness. Overmanagement looks artificial. Think natural calm, not performance calm. Verbal replies, if needed, should be minimal and low temperature. Short acknowledgements work well. I hear you. Noted. That's your view. These phrases neither agree nor fight. They absorb without amplifying. The goal is to keep the interaction from gaining emotional heat. Heat is the resource intimidation needs. One powerful element of this tactic is expectation violation. The aggressor expects resistance, apology, or visible discomfort. When none appears, their prediction model breaks. Humans rely heavily on predicted reactions during social dominance attempts. When prediction fails, confidence drops. They may push harder briefly, but without emotional payoff, escalation becomes tiring. Watch your micro-signals: quick defensive laughter, sarcastic tone, sharp sighs. These leak emotional engagement even when your words are neutral. Smooth delivery matters. Think of your voice as level water, not choppy waves. Even your blinking rate can communicate tension. Slower blinking often reads as calm presence. Strategic indifference also protects your decision quality. Emotional hooks narrow thinking. Non-attachment keeps your cognitive field wide. You can evaluate the situation instead of being pulled inside it. That wider mental frame allows smarter next moves, whether that is boundary setting, redirection, or exit. There is an important boundary here. Indifference to provocation does not mean tolerance of abuse. You are disengaging from emotional manipulation, not accepting mistreatment. If a clear line is crossed, you can state a boundary plainly and briefly, without emotional charge. Calm boundary statements are far more effective than heated rebuttals. Think of attention as currency. Every visible emotional reaction is a payment. Spend only where return is worthy. When you stop paying, manipulators lose funding for their tactics. Their pressure runs out of fuel. What you refuse to emotionally sponsor cannot psychologically control you. Detachment, when chosen consciously, is not weakness. It is leverage. Number 6. Agree without losing. Most intimidation scenarios are built on a forced choice illusion: fight back or fold, argue or submit, push or be pushed. That binary is a trap. There is a third path: calibrated agreement. You acknowledge a fragment of what was said without surrendering your position, your boundary, or your authority. This move dissolves friction while preserving your footing. When someone expects resistance, even a small nod of acknowledgement disrupts their attack pattern. Their emotional engine is tuned for collision. Remove the collision and their momentum misfires. But the agreement must be crafted carefully. You are not conceding the conclusion. You are recognizing a slice of perspective, a data point, or a feeling. Precision matters. Use partial validity language. That's one way to look at it. I can see why you'd think that. There's a point there. That sounds important to you. These phrases validate perception, not dominance. You are recognizing their viewpoint exists, not that it rules. This distinction keeps your autonomy intact. Delivery again is crucial. Your tone should be even, grounded, and unhurried. No defensive edge, no submissive softness. Think steady acknowledgement. Pair the phrase with composed body alignment and stable eye contact. The message becomes, I am not threatened by your claim, so I can afford to recognize it. This tactic works because it removes the emotional reward of forcing you into opposition. Many dominance plays are fueled by the thrill of overcoming resistance. When you do not supply that resistance, the interaction loses drama. Without drama, the aggressor must switch from force to discussion, a terrain where intimidation is weaker. After acknowledgement, add a calm anchor statement if needed, a short line that recenters your position without confrontation. That's one angle. Here's mine. I hear that. My decision stands. I understand. I'm choosing this direction. Notice the structure. Recognition first, position second. This sequence lowers friction while keeping control. Avoid over-explaining your stance afterward. Lengthy defense turns your move into justification, which drains authority. Keep your anchor brief. Brevity signals certainty. Long defense signals doubt. Let silence carry some of the weight after you state your position. There is also a neurological effect here. When people feel heard, even partially, their threat response drops. Lower threat response reduces aggressive persistence. You are regulating the other person's emotional temperature without yielding ground. That is advanced interaction control. Be careful not to stack too many agreement phrases. Excessive validation sounds appeasing. One clean acknowledgement is enough. After that, return to neutral listening posture. Let the conversation rebalance around the reduced tension. Internally, this move requires ego discipline. The urge to instantly counter every strong claim is powerful. But reflex contradiction often escalates conflict unnecessarily. Selective agreement shows confidence because it demonstrates you are not afraid of someone else's viewpoint existing near yours. Think of this as verbal aikido. You redirect force instead of meeting it head-on. The energy passes by rather than crashing into you. Calm recognition becomes a shield that looks like cooperation but functions like control. You can grant acknowledgement without granting authority. Those are not the same currency. Spend the first when useful, protect the second always. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I yield nothing. Number 7. Leave calmly, win silently. The final move in any high-pressure encounter is the exit. Most people focus so much on what to say during confrontation that they forget how they leave determines the lasting impression. The closing moment becomes the memory anchor. Whoever controls the ending controls the story people replay afterward. A composed departure is a power statement that requires no applause and invites no argument. Intimidators often try to prolong the exchange. They want the last word, the last jab, the last emotional spike. They understand that extended engagement increases the chance you will slip, react, or over-explain. Your advantage appears when you refuse unnecessary duration. Once your position is stated, your boundary is set, or your acknowledgement is given. You do not linger in circular tension. You disengage with steadiness. The mechanics of a strong exit are subtle. Your voice remains level through your final sentence. No speed up, no trailing uncertainty. Use clean closing lines, such as "We're done here, I've made my decision," or "We can revisit this later." Short, final, neutral. Avoid decorative language. Finality sounds strongest when it is simple. Your body transition matters as much as your words. Do not spin away abruptly. That reads as escape. Instead, shift orientation smoothly. Gather your belongings without hurry. Straighten your posture before you move. Take your first step at a natural walking pace, not a rush. Unhurried motion communicates internal certainty. Rushed motion suggests relief or fear. Facial expression should remain composed through the exit window. Many people hold control during dialogue, but release it the moment they turn away, sighing, shaking their head, muttering. That leakage erases earlier strength signals. Maintain neutral composure until you are fully out of interaction range. Another important element is explanation restraint. You do not owe a long justification for disengaging. Over-explaining at the door reopens negotiation. Negotiation reopens pressure. Pressure invites new hooks. A concise close preserves your frame. Think door closed, not door half open. Silence after exit is part of the tactic. Do not send follow-up messages driven by leftover adrenaline. Do not relitigate the moment with the same person immediately. Time distance protects your authority and prevents emotional aftershocks from reshaping the outcome. Quiet space after disengagement lets your calm ending define the encounter. Observers, if any are present, read departures carefully. The person who leaves centered and unflustered is usually judged as the one in control, regardless of how heated the middle became. Social memory weights endings heavily. Use that bias. Internally, this step reinforces self-command. Walking away deliberately tells your own nervous system that you are not trapped. That reduces stress imprint and builds future confidence. Each composed exit becomes training data for your brain. Pressure does not own me. Understand the core truth here. Dominance is not proven by forcing continuation. It is proven by choosing conclusion. The one who can disengage without agitation demonstrates freedom of position. Freedom of position is real leverage. The calm departure writes the final verdict. No noise required, no victory speech needed. Quiet control is enough. Intimidation only survives when it gets inside your nervous system, when it speeds your pulse, scrambles your thoughts, and pulls you into reaction. But now you understand the hidden mechanics behind it. You've seen how pressure is staged, how emotional hooks are set, how dominance attempts rely on speed, noise, and proximity. And more importantly, you now have a counter-framework built on stillness, precision, pacing, positioning, detachment, calibrated agreement, and controlled exits. You don't need a louder voice. You don't need sharper insults. You don't need to become aggressive to be respected. The most unsettling presence in any tense moment is the person who does not get pulled. The one who listens without shrinking, questions without trembling, moves without rushing. A mind that stays centered becomes a mirror that exposes the other person's instability. When someone tries to overpower you next time, remember, you're not there to win a shouting match. You are there to hold your frame. Let them burn energy. Let them perform. Let them reach for reactions that never arrive. The louder they push, the clearer their desperation becomes. Calm turns pressure inside out. Power is not force. Power is emotional self-command under stress. It's the steady gaze that doesn't flinch, the measured reply that doesn't chase approval, the boundary that doesn't need decoration. When you master that, intimidation has nowhere to land. If this video sharpened your awareness and gave you practical control tools, take a second right now to support the channel. Like the video so more people learn how to stand unshaken under pressure. Share it with someone who needs stronger psychological footing, and subscribe for more deep, tactical breakdowns on influence, strategy, and mental dominance. Quiet strength is a skill, and we build it here. Reminder: you don't defeat intimidation by overpowering it. You defeat it by becoming untouchable,